This is a word that describes a graphical representation of data where the individual values contained in a matrix are represented as colors.
Welcome to the Web Marketing Show, a podcast hosted by Randy Thornton. Learn how she approaches today's internet marketing challenges with straightforward, strategic web marketing guidance for businesses and industries of all sizes. Sit back, relax, and listen as Randy shares systems, tools, advice, trends, technologies, and how-tos about everything related to productive web marketing. Because time does matter, let's get started. Here's Randy.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Web Marketing Show. Today's podcast is titled Website Usability, the what, why, and how to increase online sales. This episode is sponsored by SEOGoogleGuru.com, a website I own that provides SEO reports to help manage, monitor, and maintain search engine optimization strategies. These reports are available because I want you to take charge of your destiny. Well, during today's podcast, we're going to tackle website usability. This is an important web marketing topic and often one that gets ignored, or many website owners are just unaware of how powerful website usability is, and testing that can answer a lot of questions. Anyone who wants to increase or maintain an online presence that converts website visitors into sales, customers, and clients needs to pay attention to what we will learn today. As you know, podcasting is brand new to me, and I'm really enjoying this experience. There's been many times it's been kind of challenging, and I'm sure there'll be more challenges along the journey. But I really look forward to bringing this information to you. And if the information I provide helps save you time, money, or frustration or stress with your web marketing efforts, then I have accomplished my mission. For many years, I've listened to other podcasts, and it has been these podcasters who have devoted their time to helping others that has truly been my inspiration for starting the Web Marketing Show podcast. Most have asked their audience to leave reviews for their podcast in iTunes or Stitcher Radio or wherever they found the podcast to help them get found. I've always tried to be a good audience participant, and now that I'm the podcaster, I really understand how important reviews from people like you who have listened to the podcast actually are. Similar to SEO, the more ratings and comments a podcast receives, the higher up in the podcast library it will appear when somebody is searching for a podcast with a topic that is relevant to the material and information in my podcast. It would mean the world to me if you would just take a few moments, head over to iTunes or wherever you found this podcast, and just leave a review. I'll even provide links at webmarketingshow.com/6, because this is the 6th episode, to make it easier for you. And just thanks in advance. I really appreciate your help and time with this. Before we dive right into today's topic, website usability, I've got a couple of things I want to share with you that have recently happened to me. Last week, I got a call from my dad. He has been retired for many years, and I assume as a computer user, his knowledge and expertise is very similar to most in his age group, mid-70s. Computers make it easy for all of us to get instant access to information that not too long ago was unobtainable. It also lets us explore and stay in contact with others. He uses his computer mostly for email. Email has been a great way for him to stay in touch with family and friends from across the country. He lives in Arizona, and I'm located in Minnesota, and a few weeks ago, I was there to visit, and I brought him a newer computer. I brought him a computer that I replaced my new computer with, because I spend I don't know how many hours each and every day on a computer. I do upgrade about once a year, update my computers about once a year. His current computer was one I passed down to him about about in 2005. So it was about time that he had an upgrade. Well, I got everything set up, including making sure that he could easily access his Hotmail email account on the web through Internet Explorer, which he had always done. Then last week, I got this call from him. He started explaining when he opened the web page to view his email in Internet Explorer on the newer computer, something wasn't right. He tried to explain to me what was wrong by describing what he was seeing on the screen. Because I view my emails in a completely different way than he does, I had absolutely no way of understanding or comprehending what he was talking about. He kept trying to visually explain things to me, but I had no clue and to how to help him or answer his questions. So I suggested we jump on a service I use often called Join Me, or it's join.me, which is a service that enables me to share my computer screen or somebody else's. Well, he absolutely had no clue what this was about. And when I mentioned that we actually jump on to do this, he got even more overwhelmed. And I could tell he was just getting frustrated. He just wanted to be able to open and view his email. And no matter how hard he tried to explain to me what the problem was, I had no way of helping. And now I wanted him to jump on a service that would share a screen. I mean, that was just even more mind-boggling to him. I have another recent story to share with you. And these stories will all come back to today's topic in case you're wondering. About 15 years ago, when my girls were grade school and junior high age, we had a Nintendo and they played on it all the time. Mario Brothers was a favorite. Now, I'm not a big game player, probably because I don't have a lot of free time. But shortly after Christmas, I did buy an Xbox. I bought it because at Christmas, my grandson, who's almost 7, got an Xbox, and I learned you can play live games with each other without having to be in the same location. My daughter and her family also live in Arizona, and I thought it'd be really fun to play games with him, even though I was in Minnesota. So the first night, I took the Xbox out of its packaging and set it up, and I was just really excited to get it going. I had watched my girls play Nintendo many years ago, and it was easy enough to set up and play. Well, the first night, I got the cable and TV wires set up and the Xbox going, but I struggled to figure out how to set up an account, which I needed to be able to play a game with anybody. I would hit the set up account button and I'd get a screen that said I already had an account, but I was still being asked to set up an account. I gave up and went to bed. A few nights later, when I had a few more hours of free time, I continued to try to get this account issue completed. Well, after a couple of more hours, I wasn't any further along, so I decided to stop for the night. This was kind of driving me crazy. I work with technology, and yet I couldn't set up or log on to an Xbox account. Also, during this time, I was using the Xbox Connect, which is a device that is supposed to enhance your experience. The device works and it sees you do everything by moving. So, in other words, when you're filling in a username or a form, you move your hand to a letter and then stop on that letter with your hand, and then it recognizes that you want to use that letter, and so forth and so on. And getting the hang of this was also time consuming, and it was just really frustrating. It was just really cumbersome. So I kind of gave up again. And the last time I tried, the issue did not get resolved. I just absolutely gave up trying to set up this Xbox. Oh, the Xbox is still not connected. And I've not tried to get the account set up again. I was just so frustrated. My dad was frustrated because the way his computer was displaying a website he had been visiting for years to retrieve his email, and it wasn't displaying correctly. And he had no idea where, why, or how to correct the problem. And I've never been so frustrated as I was when I tried to set up the Xbox for as long as I can remember. But I kept thinking, it just seems so odd to me because Nintendo was easy to use, and that was over 15 years ago. It just didn't make sense to me that 15 years later, I would try to set up a gaming system that would be so frustrating. Doesn't technology improve over time and get easier to use? My father's and my recent frustrations were due to a bad user experience. Neither one of us could figure out how to accomplish what we wanted to do. Going through these experiences has not been fun. For me, since June 2007, when the first iPhone was released, I have come to expect today's technology to give me a warm and fuzzy feeling, not one of frustration. When I opened my first iPhone box, I noticed something very odd. There weren't instructions. There weren't instructions included in the box. At first, this struck me as very odd. But soon, I discovered the iPhone didn't need instructions. It had a built-in user face that provided an experience that made learning to use it simple. It was easy to navigate. The color schemes and look and feel was pleasurable. Accessing and using its features was effortless to understand. It just made me feel comfortable. It provided me with a valuable tool for both my personal and business worlds. So, what is website usability? The topic of today's podcast. Think of website usability as the experiences your online visitors undergo when they land on your website. Similar to the experiences that my father and I recently had with different technologies. According to Wikipedia, web usability is the ease of use of a website. Some broad goals of usability are the presentation of information and choices in a clear and concise way, and the placement of important items in appropriate areas. So, why does website usability matter for web marketing? How are these two related? There are many reasons that your website usability matters. First and foremost, the usability of a website directly impacts the experience of the user. Let me ask you this. What direct effects on your business do you think a good online experience would have? What business problems could arise with a poor or less than ideal online experience for your website visitors? Website usability can dramatically control a whole host of business opportunities or losses. Every website has goals, right? You know what your website goals are. You didn't just build a website just because you had nothing better to do. The obvious goal of a website is sales. Or it might even be to have the web visitor pick up the phone and call you and place an order if maybe you're a pizza place. There are many business goals we desire to accomplish through our websites. So, how do you know if your website is functioning at top performance? How do you know if there were changes or modifications that you could incorporate that would increase online sales by 50%, or convert visitors into prospects more effectively, or reduce e-commerce cart shopping abandonment by 35%? Or just simply increase brand awareness? I believe to achieve top performance, your website goals, website usability should be designed to match those goals. Here's the problem. No two websites are the same. No two share the identical audience. They don't share the identical goals. They don't share the identical sales funnel. Therefore, what is optimal for your website is not going to be the same for mine. But methodically testing, monitoring, and tracking your website's behavior will reveal the answers for your specific target audience. You know your website's usability is working at its peak performance when you've not left any part of this outcome to chance and rely upon true testing. Things that affect a website usability are things like the visual design, such as adequate text to background contrast, or the site load time. How fast does your website take to fully load? What about when a visitor travels from page to page? Do you know that seconds actually matter? What about your website's navigation structure? Can anyone easily, especially first-time visitors, people who are unfamiliar with your website, quickly find what they came for? What about priorities? Is your most valuable content easily accessible and not buried deep in the site? What about overall appeal? Does your look and feel align with your profession? Does it resonate with your target audience? A doctor or a creative artist, they're going to have two different look and feels. And so you want to make sure that the impression that you leave with your visitors coincides with your profession. Is your website outdated? And does it leave visitors feeling like you just don't care about them? Is it credible? What about the use of imagery, including logos or the logo placement? Is there a clear path to contact information? What about the usage of internal linking? Are you using internal linking to make it easier for visitors to quickly get from one topic or page to another? What about headings and headlines? What about your call to actions? All of these things do impact the website usability. And if you just could masterfully optimize your website's usability, the outcome would be you would increase online sales and any other business objectives that you have that are related to your website. Think about this. When you had your website built, I'm certain the placement of every element, the color schemes, etc., were well thought out. You made the best decisions possible based upon nothing more than what you found appealing, how you liked things look. Does that sound familiar? Here's the problem with that. It doesn't matter if you think your website looks great and offers an exceptionally good user experience. The only thing that really matters is what your website visitors think, the people that visit your website, your prospects. What the people who come to your website looking to find something, such as information about a product or service your business provides. How welcomed they feel. The experience they have from the first second they land on any page on your website. This all is reflective on your website's usability. Did you know that placing a form on the left-hand side versus the right-hand side of your website will produce a different number of people who use the form? Did you know using an orange color versus a blue colored button will affect the number of times that button gets clicked on? Did you know the more options you give a visitor, the more difficult it is for them to make a decision and they might actually leave because they had too many options? Did you know that white space increases comprehension? Yes, these are all things that do affect your website's usability. Now, the good news. There are two popular testing tools. One is called A/B testing, and the other is referred to as click tracking. A/B testing is a straightforward method to experiment with changes made to a web page against the current design to provide the best conclusion about which one produces the desirable result. It's a technical way to validate that any new design changes or anything that you make a change on your web page is going to improve your user experience and ultimately your website business objectives and goals. So, for instance, let's say your logo is currently placed on the upper right-hand corner of your website and you move it to the left-hand corner. Track that over 60 days and you're going to know which side is better. Should it be placed on the right side or left side? Or what if you change the color scheme from oranges to browns? These are all hypothetical A/B testing that would be really good to use the testing when any change is made so that you can monitor and track so that you don't need to guess if the changes you feel should be made really do enhance your visitors' experience. Click tracking lets you record website visitors and kind of like spying on them, but it allows you to generate instant, what's called and referred to as heat maps, which show where they click, they scroll, the pages they linger on, etc. Collecting this data over a period of time can be very telling. It will either confirm that your website's usability is 100% perfected, or it will become apparent that changes are necessary to satisfy your visitor needs. Testing takes the guesswork out of website usability and enables data-backed verdicts that shift alternative conversations from the "we think" to "we know." By measuring the impact these changes have on your most important business metrics, such as sales, leads, or purchases, or whatever your website goals may be, you can be assured that every change produces positive results or make adjustments for that. Quantitative data speaks for itself. Today, I believe it's absolutely foolish not to conduct web usability testing and maybe ongoing website usability testing. More times than not, when a website is built, there is a lot of guesswork that has been involved. Guessing how user-friendly it is to your prospective customers and clients is just too risky, especially today when there are testing tools that will eliminate all of the guesswork. You might be very confident in the usability of your website. Either way, I challenge you to find out for sure. Let the people that matter the most, your visitors, tell you. One free way to begin testing is just to gather a number of people, gather them around, set them in front of a computer, and set them in front of your website. And then watch them. Don't say anything. Don't suggest anything to them, but just watch as they navigate through it. And based on what you see and the actions they take, start to ask questions after they've had some time on your website. What did they like? What didn't they like? Was it very clear to them what your business goals and objectives were? Did they feel comfortable or compelled to take that action? Would they return? Would they share your content with their friends, family, or colleagues? If you're interested in a more methodical approach, I've got some really exciting news. I have two SEOGoogleGuru.com sponsors that all they do is work with website owners who want to understand their website visitors' user behavior, or when they're considering a website redesign or A/B testing. One of these is offering a 60-day free trial, and the other is offering a free demo for the Web Marketing Show podcast audience. Yay! Because I know how important measuring website usability is, I'm just really excited to pass this opportunity on to you. You can find these free web usability trials and demos at webmarketingshow.com/6. After you've tried these services, I really want your feedback. What did you learn? What surprised you the most? How did the data help your business? How much more business was a direct result? Have you tried and are you a website owner that has previously used and implemented some of these testing tools? And I'd like to hear from you as well as to what you discovered and what the outcomes were. And if you need help setting up any of these services or need advice interpreting the data, let me know. I'm glad to help in any way that will benefit your business outcomes. Once again, you can find these free website usability trials and demos at webmarketingshow.com/6. There's no better way to get it straight from the people that matter the most. Think about this hypothetical scenario. If a prospect called you and wanted to schedule a time to meet at your office to discuss how your business could help them, would you make it difficult for them to find you? Would you give him directions that added an additional hour onto his travel time? If they asked about a specific product or showed interest in a particular service, would you dump a stack of reports in front of them about 100 different products or services your company provided and ask him to sort through the paper mess to find the information they came to discuss with you? No, of course not. You would make certain they were able to get to you in the quickest amount of time, and you would appropriately prepare for the meeting by preparing information that answered their questions and how your business was the best suited to solve their needs and or problems. You wouldn't confuse them with offerings or material that was irrelevant to their needs or frustrate them by not being prepared. If the sale mattered, you'd take every precaution to ensure the time spent with you was nothing short of a great experience, and your usability factor was effortless. This is how you'd close the sale. The same holds true with that prospect that lands on your website. Well, I hope you found this topic informative. It's one that I don't hear often discussed, but one that I strongly believe is critical to understand so you can use it to your advantage. The topic for the next Web Marketing Show episode is website visitor retention and bounce rates. This information I will share relates to what we learned today, and you won't want to miss it. Now on to the Web Marketing Show episode 6 word of the day. Did you guess what the word was? I said it was a word that describes a graphical representation of data where the individual values contained a metrics that were represented by colors. And maybe this is kind of a trick one, but the word is heat maps, and we've talked about heat maps just a few minutes ago. So if you were unfamiliar with the term heat maps before you listen to this episode, I hope it's one that you use moving forward to grow your online business. I can't wait to see you next time.
This concludes this episode of the Web Marketing Show. If you need help or have questions or comments for Randy, please visit www.webmarketingshow.com. Be sure to listen to her next podcast show so you stay current with everything related to effective web marketing. And remember to take action today, because every day that slips by without taking action is one day further away from becoming a winning day.